Well, alright guys, don't worry. This is not testosterone. My cheeks didn't suddenly go from taking testosterone. Anyway, I almost decided not to do this crazy experiment of going back onto micro lesion therapy. What is it? It's where you kill or destroy more cells, the zombie cells, than hopefully are allowed to stay in the system, and this way hopefully you can get rid of all those bad ones and just keep the good ones. Is it even possible? It kind of worked okay when I was on it. The second I got off it, I'm not sure if it's still you can still see it. It's so hard to do. No, it's not. There is a wrinkle here, and then there's a little wrinkle in there, and it came back, So I'm like, this is day one of me going back onto the micro lesion therapy. And I do agree with a lot of people that are like, I just can't go on a diet. I can't exercise. I can't do all that stuff. This is hard work, people. Don't understand. This is really hard work. You got to remember to do this every single day. You got to make sure you hit the right spots. All the moles. Got to make sure you hit them. Remember where they are. Make sure you get them off your muscles. I discovered that one of the big problems with dieting and exercise is that you can only work a certain amount of muscles and a certain amount of areas. And there's areas like right here that if you don't kill cells manually, you're just not going to. Why? Because we're no longer quadrupeds. Whether you like the Liver King or not, oh my goodness, can he quadruped? And if you don't quadruped, if you don't ambulate, if you don't walk on all fours, if you don't crawl, basically, the muscles around here in this area will never be activated. The muscles that sort of when you run around, if you're only on your legs, this part here never shakes enough to kill all the zombie cells that are in there. And I mean, you can use the inversion rack, as I have done, which does help, but it's not as good as running or galloping, right? That's the term. Galloping on all fours is probably the only way to really activate all the dead cells, all the zombie cells in your body in order to get rid of all of the bad stuff. You're just never going to do it, like especially like in areas here, like the nose, the zombie cells that appear in there. Like, how are you going to shake them? Are you going to do like nostril exercises like all day long? Like if you had to exercise every single muscle in your body daily, would there be enough hours in the day? And then there's people who are like, okay, today I'll do this day and that day, and tomorrow I'll do that day. Are there enough days in your lifetime to kill enough cells just by doing exercise and dieting in the modern world? I mean, if you're a Palestinian and you're that skinny, maybe you could. But this is the modern world, especially in America. I don't think there's anybody who has a serious deficit of zombie cells in their body. There just isn't. Well, maybe there's one. But, 1% of people is not the norm. So we need to get this to work. Especially this is, again, I'm doing this. I'm not building like I did this in a previous video. I think it was yesterday where I talked about it's cool. It's cool to have wings. And I'm a big fan of a bunch of cool people that do bodybuilding. And they build the wings back here. Can't remember what muscle that is called. But anyway, it's cool to have. But for longevity purposes, you don't have to have it. It's a cool feature to have. It's like, let me see, what's a cool feature to have? Heating heated seats in your car. It's a cool feature to have on a cold day, but you don't have to have it. Like, you can still drive a car without heated seats, right? And so for longevity purposes, whether you have the cool wings like a squirrel so you can jump from tree to tree, unless you're planning on doing that as part of your daily activities, or jumping off of a plane, in which case you could do that. It would slow you down on the way down. Unless you plan to do that, then you probably don't need the wings. Just saying. So if you have them because you're competing in a bodybuilder's Arnold's Classic or whatever, and that's cool, I totally support that. Go do that. But if you're your average Joe who's just trying to lengthen their life, you don't have to have those. What you do have to have is you have to be able to see the bones. And right now, if you look clearly, I've been off of the micro lesion therapy, right? Where you feed your bones and you feed your muscles, not your cancers, and you have a rebirth like the phoenix, right? From 1 trillion lesions. Well, I've been off it for a while, so you can no longer see the little bits of bones that are here. These were pretty obvious when I was on the micro lesion therapy. And all it took, because I have the worst genetics ever, was about 5 days of not being on the micro lesion therapy, and the bones that were really obvious right here have disappeared. You can still see these. Yeah, no problem. You can still see these. Very important bones for your ability to move your shoulders. You got to see these. If you don't see these, you're probably not in good health. If you can't see your bones here, I would strongly suggest you make an effort to see these bones. Just like if you don't have abs, you probably shouldn't go and get yourself a big tub of lard like Paul Saladino, right? Remember Paul Saladino? He's a modern witch. Grab a big jug of a big container, like a big bucket, like those buckets people run around during trick or treat season, and fill that with animal fat, sticks of butter and milk. And then you mix it all up and gulp it down. Yeah, that's one way to the highway to hell, right? It's a fast way there. So so another example of knowing that you're in good health is, can you see these bones? And if the answer is yes, all the way down to here, which I'm not, I have to go back and get those, then you're probably not in great shape. And again, it can go the other way, right? If you're too bony, right? If you're too bony and you can't see any musculature here, for instance, and you can't see any musculature here, like when you move here, you can't see any musculature there, there's a problem there too, because most likely then, I mean, anorexic people, there's just a bunch of bone, and that's not cool either. So you got to strike the balance there. Figure out the balance that works for you, not for your best friend or that influencer or whatever. Try to figure out what is the good balance for you. How do you feel in your own body? You got to work these things out for yourself. Don't just follow the masses like sheeple. Anyway, so this is the first video of going back into microlesion therapy, and I'm going to try to do this for a whole week. If it works out, I will continue it for a second week, and that's all the time I'm going to have to try to prove to you guys that it works, but most importantly, that hopefully I can get healthier and healthier. And right now, I have been getting better. I can do close to 11 pull-ups, which is impressive for someone like me who couldn't do any at all. Maybe 2 in a row. Even in my prime, that's all I could do. Anyway, thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow, hopefully.